Good day, everyone. So, for my report today is all about salting. So, salting. So, what is salting? No? Salting is one of the preservation method among of all different types of preservation. So, salting starts at China on 1300 BC. So, the salting is a process which uses salt main preservative. So what are the uses of salt? The salt used as preservative, additives, ingredients, binder, and stabilizer and flavor. So mainly salt used as uh, and salting, no? Salt and preservation, no? As preservative. It is a main ingredient in doing salting. So for additives, it makes it's used as additives to add some in one recipe. It's added to prolong shelf life. So as ingredients, so you see salt in cooking. uh, the chef or the one who cook will add salt to flavor, salt to taste. What is salt? So what is salt? The term rock salt or halite refers to salt in the form of naturally occurring crystalline mineral. Salt is a mineral predominantly made up of sodium chloride, a chemical molecule that is a member of the wider class of salts. Seawater contains significant amounts of salt. So that is salt, no? Seawater, no? As we all know, seawater is the most, no, is the most bodies of water, no? Where the salt is collected. No, it has the most amount of salt contained the seawater. So what is the role of the salt in food preservation? By changing the water content of food, salt function as a preservative by preventing microorganisms from utilizing the water as a source of nutrition. When salt is present, pathogens and spoilage organism cannot develop. So by the definition itself, no, the salt is the role of the salt is by changing the water content. So the salt will absorb the water to dry the meat or the food as to prevent spoilage by spoilage organism. It the pathogens and spoilage organism cannot be developed through salting. Uh, so in short, salt will kills microorganism, pathogens, to prolong shelf life. Salt as a preservative. Salt has been used as preservative for ages and works to preserve food in two ways. So first is salt dries food. Food that contains salt loses water, dehydrating it. Even the bacteria that might cause food poisoning need water to survive and cannot develop without it. Salt keeps beef jerky fresh by keeping it dry, while it keeps butter fresh by attracting water and letting that fat alone. So as preservative, no, salt dries food. So it like the the role of the salt in food preservation, no, by changing the water content of food. So salt as preservative, it dries the food. No, the food that contains salt loses water. So to to dehydrate the food, no, it's because the water is one of the reason of spoilage in food. So the salt will dry the food to dehydrate even the bacteria that might cause food poisoning. So the bacteria cannot survive. So the shelf life will increase and be preserved for uh, more time, no, for the longer period of time than fresh food. Salt kills microbes because of the impact of osmolarity or water pressure. So next is salt kills microbes because of the impact of osmolarity or water pressure. High salt levels are hazardous to majority of microorganisms. In surrounding environment, water diffuses across cells to maintain the same concentration of solutes on both sides of the cell. Numerous microorganisms will rupture in excessively salty solution as a result of the pressure differential between organisms outside and interior. Additionally, hazardous to microorganism internal function, high salt levels can alter their DNA and enzymes. Sugar is employed as a preservative in foods like jams, jellies because it has the same effect on bacteria as sugar-rich solution. So as preservative, so first it dries the food, no? It dehydrates the food, no? It loses the water content that help the microbes to increase, no? So she can, no? She can work or in second ways why we use salting is salt kills microbes. So due to impact of osmolarity or water pressure, high salt levels are hazardous. So since it dehydrates the bacteria, it but not ano, it kills the microbes, uh, the uh, the internal functions of the microorganisms. High salt levels can alter their DNA and enzymes that leads to their death. So what are the procedure, no? What is the procedure in doing salting? So first, wash the meat or vegetables. The other some is using hot water in washing the meat to extract oil or to extract the fat, to remove fatty oil from meat. So dry the meat or vegetables or even fruits or the fish, seafoods. So there some procedure in drying the meat. They use clothes, clothes or anything that absorb the water. Next is the third method is rub the meat or vegetables with salt. So after the meat or the vegetables dry, rub the salt. No, it is the ano, third step in salting. So after rubbing the salt, store the meat or the product you made, the preserved product, store in 60 degrees Fahrenheit in a room. Before you before using those preserved meat, wash the meat before cooking, to remove saltiness or to lessen the salt. So tips and hints: use 1 pound or 0.5 kilograms of salt for every 5 pounds or for every 2.2 kilograms of vegetables. Place a layer of salt, then 1 handful of vegetable. Cover it with salt. Repeat Store in jars, triple rinse the vegetables to prepare them for cooking. So triple rinse. So before cooking, wash the meats or the vegetables. Triple, you wash 3 times before cooking. It is impossible to use too much salt because the product is preserved by salt. So basically the product is salty. That's why the before cooking it must be washed 3 times. Thin cuts of meats or smaller clumps of vegetable will preserve better. So in preserving, uh, slim cuts or thin cuts, it makes the preservation better than thicker cuts and bigger clumps. So what is the importance of salting? Due to the fact that salt lowers the water activity of foods, it is useful as a preservative. The amount of unbound water that is available for microbial growth and chemical reaction is known as food water activity. So how important? So it is important. It's because the growth of microbes or the microorganism and the chemical reaction, no, it increases by water. No, that we call this foods water activity. To lower that activity, we use salt as to preserve, no, to prolong the shelf life of the food. So food preservation. So here are the example of preserving the uh, meat. Uh, this is the preserving meat. This is a uh, hand part or the leg part of the swine. Next is fish. No? Then the vegetables and also fruit. This one is a lemon. So that's all. So it is short for a salting. So those are the example and the method of doing preservation, salting preservation. So thank you.